Now, what are the implications of the advent of the Imam? The first and major implication of the advent of the Imam is that the substitute that Dajjal had created to replace the Khilafah, that substitute, your modern state, will now return to the garbage bin of history from where it came out in the first place. Why do I use such harsh language? What is the Khilafah state? The Khilafah state is a state established for the first time by Nabi Dawood alayhi salam in the Holy Land, the holy state of Israel, restored in Medina by Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. The Khilafah state is a state which recognizes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Al-Malik. They translate Al-Malik as the king, whereas in political terminology it should be translated as a sovereign. So sovereignty in the Khilafah state resides with Allah. The modern secular state which came from Dajjal says, no, Allah is not Al-Malik. Sovereignty does not reside with Allah. Sovereignty resides with the state. The state is sovereign. The people are sovereign, not the Lord who created them. You don't need a PhD to understand that that is shirk. And that's the one sin that Allah will never forgive. For those of us who just have a few steps left before the grave, it's a wake-up call for us to make tawbah before it's too late. The Khilafah state recognizes Allah's authority as supreme. He is Al-Akbar. The modern secular state says, no, the authority of the state is supreme. There is no authority above the state. And the states are all organized under the United Nations organization. And the United Nations organization has as its top the Security Council. And the authority of the Security Council of the United Nations is Al-Akbar, not Allah. Dajjal created that. And instead of worshipping Allah, we are worshipping Dajjal. The Khilafah state says that Allah is Al-Hakam, the supreme lawmaker. His law is the supreme law. And when He says haram, no one can make it halal. And when He says halal, no one can make it haram. And in Surah At-Tawbah, there is a verse of the Quran which declares that to be shirk, to legalize and make legal what Allah has made haram. That is shirk. The modern secular state says, no, Allah is not Al-Hakam. Parliament is Al-Hakam. Parliament makes the law. And the law that comes from Parliament and the law that comes from the United Nations is the supreme law. The modern secular state says more than that. If I am wrong, would you kindly correct me? The modern secular state says that Allah can make it haram, but we can make it halal. Shall I give you some examples? Would you be interested? Did you know that Allah prohibited money being lent on interest? Did you know that? And did you know that Allah has declared war on the money lender lending money on interest? Did you know that? And did you know that Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam has cursed all four and declared that they are all equally guilty? The one who takes riba, the one who gives riba, The one who records the transaction and the two witnesses. Did you know that he said that riba is constituted of 70 different parts? Hadith of Ibn Majah. And the smallest part of riba is equivalent to a man marrying his own mother. And do you know what the modern secular state has done? Even in Saudi Arabia, all around the world, they've made it halal. Don't believe me? There's something called a bank outside there in Subang Jaya. Go and ask them whether they lend money on interest. Ask them whether it is haram or halal in Malaysia to lend money on interest. Go and ask them. I can go on and on and on and on. This is a substitute for the Khilafah. But let me say something more. In the Khilafah state, so long as we Muslims have control over territory, that territory is designated Darul Islam. And in Darul Islam, every Muslim has the right to enter. All that you have to do is to declare La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and you have the right to enter. You don't need a visa. So Indonesia is 90-something% Muslim. So I go to Indonesia, I present myself before the immigration officer, I raise my hand, say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Immigration officer looks at me, where has this fellow come from? He says, where is your visa? Show me your visa. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah can't work here. Are you understanding the situation? In Darul Islam, every Muslim has the right to reside. You don't need a PR, it's called, permanent residence, PR. No. Once you're a Muslim, you have the right to reside. In Darul Islam, every Muslim has the right to seek his livelihood. You don't need a work permit. I told you, he said, that in the end times knowledge will disappear. This knowledge has disappeared to such an extent that now some people cannot even digest it. They don't agree with it. No. In Darul Islam, every Muslim has the right to participate in the political process. The political process in Islam is called a shura, on the basis of equality with all other Muslims. You don't need citizenship. This is Darul Islam. That substitute has divided us, broken up Darul Islam, and replaced it with something that is very bad.